Good afternoon. I am Jeremiah Tan, and I'm here with my partner, Shanice Chua. Today, we'll be presenting on our paper on the effect of education on household welfare in the Philippines. Our thesis will specifically examine the impact of education on household welfare in the Philippines. Specifically, it aims to answer the following question: how do the different levels of educational attainment of the household head affect the household welfare in the Philippines? Next slide, please. In the context of education in the Philippines, a recent major change was the implementation of the K-12 curriculum in 2016. Previously, the standard for basic education in the Philippines required only 10 years since 1945. Before the implementation of the K-12 curriculum, the Philippines was one out of the only three countries in the world who have yet to operate on a 12-year education system. The Commission on Higher Education mentioned that the K-12 transition program would allow the country to be more competitive against its ASEAN neighbors, wherein 48% of the faculty hold a master's degree, while in the Philippines, only 39% hold in 2017. Next slide.
The Philippines mainly prioritize on primary education compared to secondary and tertiary education. Data from the World Bank shows that most of the budget for education is spent on primary levels rather than secondary and tertiary levels. Accordingly, most of Filipinos have completed elementary and junior high levels. However, levels for senior high remains low given that it was only K-12 was only launched in 2016. The same goes for tertiary level wherein only 21.8% females and 17.7% males have reached tertiary level. Furthermore, the Philippines accomplished gender parity in education. Although there are initially more males who have attended elementary education, there is a shift wherein females in later levels of education, particularly in high school and college, are higher. Based on this figure, the significant decrease of males in higher levels of education can be attributed to the dropout rates among males, especially in secondary and primary education, colored blue. From the perspective of Philippine households, most household heads, 25.8%, graduated from junior high school, followed by 20.9% respondents who studied in elementary but did not complete it, and 13% college graduates. Similarly, more males attained primary and secondary education, while more females reached tertiary levels.
Uh, Furthermore, the Philippines spends 665.1 billion or 18.1% of our national budget on education. However, this 665.1 billion is only 3.4% of our country's GDP. This is the lowest among all ASEAN countries, after Brunei, who spends 3.8%, Thailand, who spends 4.1%, and Laos, who spends 4.2% of their respective GDPs on education. This is an indication that the Philippines does not invest as much into education in comparison to its Southeast Asian counterparts. According to the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations, the recommendation is for countries to set its education spending to be at least 4 to 6% of GDP. Next one, please. Furthermore, in comparison to the ASEAN, the Philippines posted a 96.4% adult literacy rate in 2018, which ranks third among ASEAN member states, closely following Singapore and Brunei at 97.3% and 97.1% respectively. According to the ASEAN Secretariat, the adult literacy rate represents the quality of human capital in its respective country. Next slide, please. Additionally, the Philippines ranks second to the last in primary school enrollment rate among all ASEAN member states, with a 94.1% enrollment rate. Only Cambodia ranks lower. However, in terms of secondary enrollment, the Philippines improved its position to the middle of the pack as it maintains an 81.4% enrollment rate. It is also evident from the table how the disparity between males and females from the Philippines became notably wider in secondary education enrollment, which supports the a previous graph of dropout rates, where male dropouts are significantly higher in secondary education than in females. Next slide. Thank you for listening. And here we'll be showing our citations.